Welcome to the April 2019 edition of Outlook Video, your nationally recognized award-winning show for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender communities. I'm Christine Hancock.
And I'm Tom Smith. This month, Roberta Gonzalez-Craig will be interviewing Ken Yeager and talking about his new job. He's a new CEO for the Bay Area Municipal Elections Committee Community Foundation. The BAYMEC Community Foundation was spun off from the parent organization in 2013. This particular endeavor may be new to Yeager, but the cause of advancing queer and trans rights has defined his career from the launch of BAYMEC to his election as the first openly gay elected official in the South Bay to his tenure on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors.
We'll learn more when Roberta interviews Ken shortly.
March 31st is International Trans Day of Visibility. Shay Franco-Clausen and Kim Lawson attended the celebration held at the San Jose City Hall Rotunda. Shay will be interviewing Lance Moore, a trans person and co-chair of the Trans Day of Visibility event.
Gabrielle will be interviewing Susan Ellanberg, Santa Clara County Supervisor.
Santa Clara County Supervisor Susan Ellanberg represents a diverse population of more than 400,000 residents in District 4. This district includes the unincorporated communities of Burbank and Cambrian, as well as the cities of Campbell, Santa Clara, and West San Jose.
Supervisor Ellanberg was sworn into office in January 2019. She serves as the chair of the county's Public Safety and Justice Committee and the vice chair of the Health and Hospitals Committee.
Shay Franco-Clausen will interview Dontae Lartigue, who advocates for fostering LGBT youth. He'll be talking about Razing the Bar on fostering LGBT youth.
Gabrielle will be interviewing Miki Fadem and we'll be talking about invisibility. That should get your minds running wild, and we'll be bringing you that interview later in the show.
Let's start tonight's show with Roberta interviewing Ken Yeager and his new job as CEO of the BAYMEC Community Foundation.
Tonight we welcome back, representing himself in a slightly different capacity now, former Santa Clara County Supervisor Ken Yeager. Welcome, man of many hats.
Well, thank you.
BAYMEC CEO.
Yeah, how exciting.
Wow, indeed it is.
Thank you for having me.
You are indeed a man of many hats. Not only the first openly gay Santa Clara County elected official, I've got my notes here, but also a teacher at San Jose State University.
That's correct.
An author of 2 booklets.
2 booklets just out.
And co-founder of BAYMEC, as well as now its CEO. Whew. You're a busy fella.
Yeah, well, it's been great. It's nice that there's so many opportunities down here in San Jose and Santa Clara County, sort of to keep us all busy.
That's terrific, and of course our community loves having you out there, showing physically that there's an LGBTQ person out there working on our behalves, and that's wonderful. And so please tell us, what is BAYMEC and what is its focus?
So BAYMEC is a political action committee that Wigsy Severson and I founded in 1984, so mere 35 or so years ago. And it's always sort of been the political arm of the community, but it had created several years ago a nonprofit arm, the BAYMEC Community Foundation. And it really is separate from BAYMEC, the political organization. And so then the board of directors of the Community Foundation hired me as its CEO. So that's been the new position, and it sort of allows me to continue doing all the work that I've been doing as a county supervisor and a member of the city council as well.
So it still gets you in the political mix a bit.
It does, and for example, there was the issue about Chick-fil-A coming to the airport, and there was a lot of angst, for lack of a better word, from the gay community because it's such an anti-gay business. And so in my capacity as the foundation executive director, was able to go down and speak to the city council and be at the press conference and make the suggestion that they have the rainbow flag fly very close to the Chick-fil-A to show that San Jose is a welcoming city.
We like that too.
Yeah.
That's very good. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
And BAYMEC represents 4 Bay Area counties, does it not?
Yes, it does.
Would you name them?
Yeah, I think I could be able to do that. Certainly Santa Clara County and San Mateo and Santa Cruz and Monterey.
And Monterey. So that covers a vast area.
Yeah.
Yes, and especially I think in some areas in the Upper Peninsula and, well, Santa Cruz and Monterey, people feel a little bit disconnected from San Jose. So this also reconnects these people.
Yeah, and they also don't have a political organization, and so we have members from those counties on the board, and so they're sort of able then to be involved in our process as far as endorsing candidates.
That's wonderful. Now, did BAYMEC help prepare you for your political career?
Well, I think so.
Yes.
You know, I had been involved in politics to some degree in 1984, but I wanted to do more than that, and because at that point it was a low point for the gay community because of all the anti-gay stuff that was happening here, and so Wigsy and I really wanted to get more involved. There wasn't any political organization, and so I mean, there was nobody to interview candidates, there was nobody to sort of do the politics, and so that's sort of where we started.
And you pretty much started from the ground up.
Well, yeah, there was, yes, absolutely.
There was nothing, so
absolutely, but because I was able to get to know a lot of people in the community and that they got to know me, that when I first ran for office in 1992, I sort of had a base of supporters, which you often need in politics.
Now, did BAYMEC, there was a bill passed recently, AB 2719, which helps the elderly in California. Was this passed with the LGBTQ seniors in mind in the community?
Oh, I think so,
I was talking with our camera people earlier that we are the baby boomer generation, most of us. And so we're edging up there, needing a lot of different support and a lot of different services.
Yeah.
Was this in mind specifically for the LGBTQ community?
Oh, very, very much so.
Oh,
very
great.
much so. And I know that we've been trying to get some LGBTQ-friendly housing built here in San Jose as well. So being executive director sort of allows me to work on those issues. Been very involved in the LGBTQ homeless shelter that we opened, and making sure that the Office of LGBTQ Affairs at the county continues on, as well as our Getting to Zero campaign.
Wow, this is fantastic, the work that you're doing. All right. You've also authored 2 LGBTQ booklets, we like to call them. So we can talk about these. There's one, The Battle Against AIDS and HIV, the long struggle for the LGBTQ community in the Santa Clara County. These struggles, do you feel that these struggles, especially in this political atmosphere now, are still continuing? This talks about the history and tells a great deal about it. It's very informative. Yeah. But do you feel that these political struggles are still ongoing?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When you see all the anti-gay rhetoric that is happening, I mean, even the fact of Chick-fil-A coming to a public space here at the airport, but our Vice President, Mike Pence, is strongly anti-gay, and there's just still a lot of funding for these sort of hate groups that certainly includes our community. But I'm hoping that people will be able to get a hold of these booklets. They're free. They're totally free.
Wonderful.
And they can go to baymecfoundation.org.
Excellent.
And just tell me where to send them, and I'd be happy to do that.
Terrific. Viewers, make note of that, because you want to get this information. It's great historical information, and we can use this moving forward, I think.
Yeah, they've been very well received. People who've been here for a while maybe have forgotten a lot of this, and the younger generation just has never even heard of it. So.
Okay. Do you see yourself in a future political a candidate in any fashion, maybe House of Representatives or Senator, or who knows?
Or who knows?
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is a good time in my life at the moment where I get to do the foundation work. But there might be, a race that opens up, probably more likely in the state legislature, either the Assembly or the state Senate. So
that would be wonderful.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, with your background, it would be the perfect thing to do.
Okay.
So, Ken Yeager, you've certainly accomplished a great deal in your career and show even greater promise for providing skills through BAYMEC for other LGBTQ political activists. So we thank you for sharing your accomplishments and your insights with us.
Thank you.
It's Shay again here at the South Bay Trans Day of Visibility, and I'm here with Lance, who actually coordinated this entire event. How are you doing today?
I am doing really well. I think this move to City Hall has gone terrifically. We have more resources than we've ever had.
I know this is the 10th year, but tell me how it all started.
I had been active in the local trans community for a long time, doing Trans Day Remembrance, running a men's support group, talking to hospitals and such. But I've always been really hungry for a pride event that was trans specific, because 10 years ago, the gay pride was not particularly celebratory of the trans side of things. So when I heard about a woman at, I think, University of Michigan, started Trans Day Visibility at her school, I'm like, that's my thing. I'm taking that on. And so I did, and I gathered a few of my good friends from the community and some support from the guys in the trans men's group, and made the first one happen, and it's gotten bigger and more interesting every year.
How many people were at the first one?
Maybe 50.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had exactly one support. We had one resource available because there just wasn't anything then. And this year we actually had to turn a couple of people away to have tables because we are very full up, but that's a wonderful indication of the growth in Santa Clara in the last decade.
I know, I was looking around and all the new things are happening, clinics. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The Valley Med has now got a transgender clinic happening a few days a week. For years, I was like sending new trans guys to Santa Cruz, because that was the only place, the Planned Parenthood there, where they could get services. But now I got somewhere in San Jose.
Yes.
They don't have to do bus rides and craziness. So it's such a huge help for the community.
Now, I'm a mother of 5, and me and my wife always get questions from our parents that are in our community, because a lot of kids are identifying and coming out as transgender at such an earlier age. The last call we got was 4. Yeah, I mean, younger and younger. So could you tell our viewers some places that they can get help, or where they can get some type of support or services to help them, be there for their child and get all the resources they need to be supportive?
Sure. The first place for the kids themselves is the San Jose Youth Space. They have trans programs as part of almost everything they do. That's a great place to go for the kids themselves. The San Jose PFLAG has some groups for parents and kids. And their website has got a lot of great resources just for downloading, sharing with family members. Actually, even HRC has got some good resources you can download and share. But the Youth Space, PFLAG, and of course the Billy DeFrank Center for adults who are trans or allies is a place to go and look for resources and groups to attend.
Well, I just want to personally say thank you so much for doing this.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
We have Supervisor Susan Ellanberg, who's a big supporter of the transgender community, which we all appreciate. So thank you for being here at the event. So what makes you want to support the transgender community?
In general, because I believe that everybody needs a champion, and particularly our vulnerable communities. But my real focus and the reason that I became an activist and interested in this community is really through trans kids that I met while I was a board member at San Jose Unified School District, and saw how deep the needs were, and how this group really didn't have a champion, particularly not at the board level, and really not from the allied community. So I stepped in to play that role.
So tell me more about how you were influenced by being a board member for San Jose Unified School District.
So as a school board member, I spent a lot of time in the schools that I was an advocate for, talking with students, talking with teachers and administrators, and really trying to deeply understand the community. And I had a group of students come to me who had participated in a project with, I think it was California Alliance for the Arts, where their assignment was to create a video, so using their art, to present an issue to the school board, in essence asking for something to change. So this group of students created a beautiful video noting that none of the high schools, none of any of our schools for that matter, had all gender inclusive restrooms. And I heard lots of stories from them about what a challenge that was during the day to not have a restroom in which they felt comfortable. The nurses' single stall restrooms, of course, were gender inclusive, but they inevitably had very long lines, passing periods were only 5 minutes, and it wasn't working. So they presented this video to me to make their case that this was something that was needed in our schools. And I think I actually agreed almost too readily for them. They were ready for a little bit of a fight and some strong advocacy, but I thought it was an excellent idea. It was long overdue, so we started first with Lincoln High School and then expanded to all of the high schools in the district and eventually, I believe, the middle schools as well.
That's fantastic. So in a weird sort of way, becoming supervisor for the entire county, it's seamless when it comes to transgender issues.
The transition from school board to county supervisor is actually seamless in so many ways because what the county government serves our community's most vulnerable residents. And as a school board member, I was looking for services for the kids in our district that were vulnerable, who had issues and challenges that were not academic, but based on socioeconomic or other social determinants of health. And every time I looked for a service, it was at the county. So being at county government to me feels like just having a bigger piece of the pie to be able to help kids.
One of the things I've noticed is now that the transgender and LGBTQ plus issues are much more out there, the Billy DeFrank Center, even though we serve adults, we have parents coming in about kids. So it's almost like it's full circle now. And we're going to do some kind of an assessment with that. And it sounds like that's part of what you would love to look at.
Yes, absolutely. What I see is that over the last decade, this community has come so incredibly far in visibility and empowerment, and certainly with leadership from folks like yourself and my predecessor, Supervisor Ken Yeager. But there's so much more ahead of us, and I see really 3 areas. I'm sure there are more, but 3 that I am really paying attention to right now. And the first, of course, is protecting and empowering trans kids. The second is looking at our workforce, both in the private and public sectors, and how do we make sure that qualified employees who happen to be transgender are treated with equal dignity and respect and have access to the careers for which they're qualified. And then looking at the senior community, which is growing, and making sure that folks in that community have equitable access to transit, to healthcare, to long-term living situations. And I think that because of the visibility, we can talk about this community as an ecosystem just like any other, with babies to bubbies, and make sure that everybody's needs are met.
So I am interviewing my friend here, Dontae from Razing the Bar, who has a different approach to addressing foster youth. Tell us a little bit about Razing the Bar.
So Razing the Bar was started out of basically a frustration for foster youth. Being a former foster youth, I wanted to basically allow youth to be heard and be seen. And what we know in foster care is social workers and case managers have big caseloads, 40 to 60 kids, and you can't serve foster youth that way. And so what I wanted to do was create a nonprofit that addressed that, but primarily focus on relationships. And so we created Razing the Bar in 2017. And what we do is we focus on building relationships with foster youth that are transitioning out of care, and basically all of their resources that they qualify for are a byproduct of that. And so if we can build healthy relationships with these kids, schooling, for instance, will be a byproduct, and they'll be able to focus on that due to a healthy relationship with an adult. And so that's what we focus on, and we're actually in our second year in our pilot, and it's going pretty well. But I'm here today to basically kind of gain some knowledge about the LGBTQ community and the trans community, because we serve youth from that population, and I just want to be equipped to serve my youth the best that I can.
Wow, that's really amazing, because that is one thing that we're seeing from starting in elementary school now, especially transitioning out of foster care. A lot of kids are transgender and they have nowhere to go. Razing the Bar is focusing on 18 to 24. Are you seeing a trend in that in the foster youth that you're serving, or in the communities that you serve, that there's a lot of transgender, former foster youth?
Yes, I won't quote the specific percentage, but I do know here in Santa Clara County that a high rate of foster youth are from the LGBTQ community, and also as well as trans. And so we need to be able to address the issues that they face while aging out, and being able to support them to be successful, successful young individuals, and help them find whatever that success looks like to them.
Right. It was in 2015 the Healthy Kids Survey actually said the kids that were not addressed here in our county were foster youth, LGBT kids. What do you think about that?
For the LGBTQ community, I can't speak on why that is, but for foster youth, I think a lot of the times it has to do that we're a small percentage of the population. However, I don't think people realize that we're multi-minorities. So we come from the justice system, we come from extreme poverty, we come from mental health background, maybe with a schizophrenic parent or whatnot, or maybe experiencing mental health issues or disorders ourselves. And so I think a lot of times we just get swept under the rug because we don't understand the intersectionality of all the issues that kids from this community face.
And then add being an LGBT person.
Yes. And so, with that, a lot of times we really don't, exactly why I'm here, as advocates, sometimes we don't know how to support, issues or communities that we don't necessarily face those issues directly. And so we need to be able to educate ourselves, and we need to be able to, love and support one another, and that's why I'm here today.
Well, I want to thank you, Dontae, for showing up and to figuring out how you can be a better ally, support for the kids that you're going to be coming with.
And we've been at the Transgender Day of Visibility. And we have Miki Fadem here, who is actually a partner of a trans man, BJ Fadem. And people very rarely talk to the partners of, right? And I remember you saying something about feeling invisible. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Actually, first let me correct. He's actually not trans. He's intersex. So it's, yeah. So there's.
Can you explain that?
The intersex has to do with the DNA.
Okay.
So it's LGBTQI+. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the invisibility of the partner, and usually what happens is during the transition of a partner through the steps before, during, and after, someone who has a partner during that time may actually lose their partner because there's no support. And what I'm finding a lot of is there is no support system for the invisible person who stands there next to, goes to the examinations, supports them through their transition, supports them at home, supports them if they do lose blood family relatives, may lose their job, may have to relocate where their residency, may lose their identity, go through a lot of emotional turmoil themselves, and have a lot of difficulty in that transition.
So how did you deal with the situation?
I was fortunate with myself. I came to it very naturally. I was very fortunate. I did not have any difficulty. I was more worried about him dying on the surgery table, going through things. But yeah, I did have my own personal difficulties, and I didn't have anyone to turn to except for my therapist. There were certain things that I could not discuss with my spouse, who was going from FMT, because I was scared.
Going from FMT?
Female, male transition. Because I was scared to step on toes. There were times it was feel like you're walking on glass, nails, and eggshells in fear of offending that, my partner. And the only way that I could do that was to basically support him during any crisis that he needed to and let him come to me.
So it must be hard to, I mean, you obviously love BJ. It's been 28 years together. So it must have been really hard to sort of go, well, where do I go besides my therapist? Because, you know, friendship networks are really important going through, you know, all kinds of situations, you know. How did you come out of that?
Through my own special transition, but I think that we tried to start a group for at the center for the invisible, so people behind going through the transition, whether transgender or intersex. It fell apart because the hardest thing a person can actually do is dig deep and talk about their feelings out in the open.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go through 10, 15 years of therapy and still not know what your favorite color is, for real.
Right.
Because as we go through life, we change through our choices and likes and dislikes. When you go through a transition with your partner over years and a long time, we've grown up together. Plus going through the transition, I was 24 when we met. I'm getting ready to turn 52. So my choices and likes and dislikes have changed. Yeah. And same with him. He was younger and gone through the changes in life, plus the transition. So it's a web of changes. And it just fell through. And I think what we have to do is be able to find some people and some professionals that can bring us together.
Well, I wonder that now that the transgender community is beginning to really blossom, that maybe the invisible people will begin to blossom too.
I'm hoping so. At this TDOV at San Jose City Hall, there were more families, there were more plus ones speaking out about their own experiences and how they felt within the community, but their voices were still quiet. They were physically there, but their voices were still quiet.
And maybe it'll grow.
I'm hoping if we can get some support behind that, yes.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. We've had Miki Fadem here, visible, representing the invisible part of the transgender intersex community.
And that's a wrap for this month's edition of Outlook Video. You can watch extended versions of our segments and archive past programs on Outlook Video's YouTube channel at youtube.com/OutlookVideo. Be sure to click on the subscribe button.
Also, friend us on Facebook at facebook.com/OutlookVideo. Outlook Video is made possible by generous donations from viewers like you and talented volunteers behind the camera, whose names you'll see as we close. We close this month's show with scenes from the Dinosaur Party.
Bye until next month.
Thank you.